Hi, everyone. It's me, Joe. I am the author of the memoir, The Remnant of Israel. It's still being drafted at this time, but I've uploaded a copy to my website of what I have so far. And so I hope you'll read it and, be inspired to ask questions about higher education, capitalism, theology. Uh, those are my specialties. Well, I haven't been credentialed or anything, but I've taken quite an active interest and I've studied under some amazing professors who do teach those um, areas of expertise. So, hey, I don't have a prepared script, obviously. So I'm kind of winging this because I want it to be natural, real. I am recording this video on my laptop using an app called Photo Booth, and it has all these different filters. And I chose this, it's called Sepia. I thought it would be a cute filter to kind of give me a nice, dignified, and vintage retro look. Okay, so maybe not so much. Well, hey, look at this. These are my eyeglass holders. If I had not used a filter, you would be able to see that they're rainbow colored. Uh, yeah, my friend, who happens to be a very distinguished theologian, likes to make fun of me for these. The other day, I took a picture of myself and uh, wearing these eyeglass holders. I sent them to her, and then she says, really, really saltily, well, then, we just jumped right ahead to being an 80-year-old senior citizen, didn't we? That's the kind of thing that she says. Our friendship is built on that level of saltiness, and God, I love her. Well, I could really use your help right now. I'm going to be evicted in a couple of days. Uh, if you're thinking, wow, you seem really cheerful and upbeat for someone who's about to get evicted, it's really, quite frankly, because I've run out of emotions to feel. No, no, no. It's not that I've run out of emotions. It's just that I don't have any more energy. You see, I've been fighting the good fight since 2016. That was the year that I was accepted into seminary, and that was unfortunately also the year that we elected you know who. Um, and then this pandemic comes along. But actually, I say that I've been fighting the good fight since 2016, but I've been fighting it a lot longer than that. In fact, most of my adult life has been spent doing direct service, which basically means I was out on the streets, with the least of society, that kind of thing. Um, the area that I served primarily was the Tenderloin, which is a very rough neighborhood in San Francisco. I started volunteering there in my 20s, and I wouldn't say that I liked the neighborhood. I don't know if you can like the Tenderloin, but it is a neighborhood that I became familiar with. Uh, I got to know what the population is like. I built a relationship with folks there. I cultivated a mentality of, what it's like to be an everyday person in the Tenderloin. So I'm familiar. I've been very familiar with it for a long time. And then again in my mid 30s, when I went into seminary for my field education requirement, I decided to do some formalized direct service work in the Tenderloin with a wonderful nonprofit organization that's based there. So I'm saying all of this because I just want to give you an idea of my background. Um, it's not that I'm saying that after all these years I'd like a little bit of help or something in return. It's just that this is the worst October I've ever had. Yeah, I know. It seems like I'm being disingenuous, but it's a pretty bad October considering that in a couple of days I'm going to be evicted. um, and it's also been challenging considering that I've been putting this memoir together as a reflection of the emotional abuse that I received while I was in seminary. Uh, there's a mental health crisis going on in the wider world of graduate school. This is pretty much common knowledge among most grad students, and I guess people who know grad students. uh, so, what I'm focused on is the that sliver of the academy of graduate education that is graduate theological education, and this comprises of seminaries and divinity schools, um, institutions of that nature, and I'm fixated on those institutions because they claim to teach religion, and a lot of the more progressive leftist uh, uh, divinity schools and seminaries claim to be liberatory. But at the same time, they're teaching liberation, they're actually oppressing the students too through cruel institutional regulations that are antithetical to the liberative material that they're learning. And so, quite frankly, I'm seeing the pandemic as an opportunity to really, poke through that opening and scrutinize how graduate theological education is supposed to be compatible with a capitalist system of higher learning. Uh, in my in my initial research so far, I've learned quite a bit about the elitist beginnings of higher education, starting in the early 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. But I began also to get fixated specifically on the history of higher education here in the United States, where it's not just about educating the elites, it's it's educating, it's white people educating other white people in ways of being white. And that is a historical fact that can be traced to the beginnings of every major university in the United States, Harvard, uh, Yale, and so forth. So, what I'm seeing is, of course, there's a pattern in graduate education, the wider world of graduate education, but my emphasis as a seminarian and someone who wants to be an academic theologian is how does this affect the world of graduate theological education? And there's clearly a conflict of interest here because those of us who choose to go into this field of study, we know it's not a lucrative field of study. We know that off the bat. We are not naive. This is not going to make us millions of dollars. If we wanted to do that, we'd, go into tech and we'd learn coding. Yeah, right. In any event, I can't code. I no, even though I'm Asian, I don't have any of that, mathematics and coding and stuff like that. At any rate, um, we know what we're getting into. And if you think about it, there's something very strange about paying to study the divine. And what's even stranger is that, when you've paid, to get into the institution of your choice to conduct your studies, your money doesn't mean much. It gives you absolutely no power. I have a very difficult relationship with money, considering that I've made it my specialty to critique capitalism. However, uh, if we're going to be in this capitalist system, right, and you have to comply with the capitalist reality, and I'm being very intentional when I use these air quotes, because this is not reality. This is a manufactured reality. It is not reality. If anyone wants to tell you things like, well, that's the way it is, no, it ain't. That ain't the way it is. And so, as long as we're trapped in this manufactured reality, we have to play by the rules, right? So you pay your tuition, you make a case for yourself that you're good enough to be in the institution, you write your essays and get your reference letters, put all your ducks in a row, another capitalist expression that I really can't stand, and a school picks you. And yet, when you're a student of that institution, it's amazing that even if you got funding, even if you got scholarship, many of us are still paying a significant chunk of our personal financial resources to be there. And it gives us no power. In my experience, I have been abused by authority figures who have treated me like I am nothing. And I have worked in corporate environments as well as retail customer service. The way these employees in seminary treat not just myself, but other students as well, they would be instantly fired from a corporate setting. They would be instantly fired from a retail sales customer service setting. And I can only theorize that they get away with this behavior because they are behind the veneer of religion. It's time for this behavior to stop. Quite frankly, it's time for those people to go. It's not just that we have survived a pandemic, although that's a really, really important reason. It's a moment in history, for God's sake. It's 2021, and quite frankly, the older generations have failed us. If you are over the age of 40, you have not left this world better than you found it. And if you are clinging to your ways that got you to wherever you are at your age and expecting the rest of us to do the same things, you are incorrect and you need to go. So for those of you who have actually been watching this video for all 14 minutes of it, and you are agreeing with me on some level, I'd really appreciate if you took a look at the draft of my memoir that I published, and I would plead with you, to participate in what I'm calling a awareness fundraiser. That's right. I'm not naive. I know that all of us are struggling right now. The awareness fundraiser works like this. Tell everyone about my memoir. Drop the link to my website, josephramello.com, anywhere and everywhere. Let's tell everyone. that will be even more valuable than money at this point, although I could use it because like I said, I'm going to be evicted in a few days. Terrible times, bad times. But I am a seminarian, which means I'm a person of faith. So, either I'm delusional or, God has got something, really great planned for me. Or maybe those two are one and the same. I don't know. This video is already 15 minutes and 28 seconds long. 29, 30, 31, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to keep you. But if you have been watching this video all the way through, thank you so much. I am not a leader. I am not leading anything. I'm asking for your help because we've got to do this together. I just happen to be the person who's speaking up at the moment. But I'm not a leader. But I do join bringing people together. Usually it's to bring people together for a Christmas party or, cocktails or, brunch. There's something I haven't done in a long time. Thanks for watching.